Welcome back to Front Page, and we're very excited because we are breaking this first on Front Page directly from India Mobile Congress 2025. And this one marks a turning point for India's AI journey. Over the last 4 days, Asia's largest telecom, media, and technology event has turned New Delhi into the capital of global digital ambition. From Prime Minister Narendra Modi's inaugural address to the launch of India's first agentic OS, IMC 2025 has been less about incremental innovation and more about India's staking claim as the architect of the AI powered telecom age. The Prime Minister set the tone, unveiling India's indigenous 4G stack with 1 lakh towers, celebrating a 28-fold rise in mobile manufacturing and 6-fold growth in electronics production since 2014. He announced that 10 semiconductor fabs are now underway, positioning India as a global data hub built on secure storage and digital sovereignty. The new Telecommunications Act was spotlighted as the backbone for faster approvals, cybersecurity mandates, and AI driven network governance, marking the next phase of India's digital reforms. Union Minister Jyotiraditya Scindia then delivered the vision statement. India's 6G mission could add $1.2 trillion to the GDP by 2035, backed by 10% of global 6G patents, 99.9% 5G coverage, and a 98% drop in mobile data costs that turned connectivity into a right, not a privilege. Under his leadership, the Bharat 6G Alliance signed MOUs with NASSCOM and the European Space Agency, releasing 4 technical white papers on spectrum, AI network evolution, energy efficient telecom, and 6G security, mapping the architecture of the next wireless decade. In the exhibition hall, over 400 participants from 150 countries showcased breakthroughs in AI native 5G networks, edge compute, satellite internet, quantum communication, semiconductors in telecom, optical networks, and fraud risk management systems. Reliance Jio's Akash Ambani hailed India's leadership in digital infrastructure, while Airtel's Gopal Vittal cautioned that the next challenge after connectivity is trust and data integrity, calling for smarter regulation and AI based fraud detection. METI, meanwhile, opened applications for the Electronics Component Manufacturing Scheme, ECMS, fast tracking the hardware backbone for India's AI and telecom stack. Even the International 6G Symposium, inaugurated by Scindia and Telecom Secretary Dr. Neeraj Mittal, became a diplomatic moment, uniting academia, startups, and policymakers across continents to shape open standards, satellite enabled 6G use cases, and affordable adoption models for the global south. But amid all the infrastructure, one story is stealing the show, where telecom meets intelligence. Because now Kogo AI and Qualcomm have officially launched Kogo OS, the world's first fully private agentic operating system for enterprises. A landmark innovation that could transform how regulated industries deploy, monitor, and govern AI. This isn't just another product unveiling. No, it's actually the perfect finale to IMC 2025, where India didn't just talk about networks, chips, or spectrum, but officially entered the era of autonomous, private, and secure AI infrastructure. This moment didn't appear overnight. Back in April 2025, Kogo AI, a pioneer in agentic AI infrastructure, and Qualcomm Technologies, the global leader in edge and inference compute, announced their strategic collaboration to co develop a private AI stack built for secure, compliant, high performance deployments. That partnership laid the groundwork. Kogo's modular agentic platform, combined with Qualcomm's cloud AI 100 ultra accelerators and AI Inference Suite to help enterprises deploy AI agents, models, and workflows all within their own environments. 6 months later, that collaboration has now crystallized into Kogo OS, a complete production ready private agentic operating system officially unveiled here at IMC 2025. Well, in a world obsessed with cloud AI, Kogo OS stands apart. It's built for those who can't afford compromise, like banks handling national payments, hospitals managing patient data, defense networks processing classified intelligence. With Kogo OS, enterprises can now, well, do this: deploy policy safe AI agents inside their private networks, run inference and reasoning workloads without ever touching the public cloud, and maintain full observability, version control, and compliance. Even in air gapped environments, no data leaves the perimeter. No third party dependencies. Basically, AI finally comes home. As far as the under the hood situation is concerned, Kogo OS runs on Qualcomm's Cloud AI 100 Ultra, a power efficient accelerator capable of running models with up to 70 billion parameters, all within a 150-watt thermal envelope, enabling large language model LLM workloads directly on prem. This hardware software synergy enables AI agents as a service, 60 plus pre built no code agents for customer service, fraud detection, policy analytics, and research. Models as a service, MAAS, on demand fine tuning of Claude, Gemini, Llama, and domain specific models with full traceability. Red teaming and compliance suite, multi-turn adversarial testing, and real-time audit trails meeting HIPAA, GDPR, and PCI DSS benchmarks. Together, Kogo AI and Qualcomm are solving the fundamental paradox of modern AI: how to be intelligent and private at scale. The timing, well, is significant. As OpenAI, Anthropic, and Google dominate the global AI narrative with massive cloud dependencies, Kogo AI's Bengaluru led launch signals a very strategic pivot for India from being a consumer of AI to being a sovereign builder of intelligence. The implications go beyond enterprise IT. BFSI firms, well, can now automate credit scoring and fraud detection on site. Healthcare can deploy diagnostic assistance under strict patient data control. Public sector missions can run AI inference securely in defense grade environments. This is AI for Bharat: compliant, contextual, and fully controllable. When OpenAI announced its agent builder at Dev Day 2025, it positioned ChatGPT as the AI operating system for the public internet. Kogo OS, unveiled today, is the enterprise mirror image of that concept, built not for virality but for verifiability. Where OpenAI builds in the open, Kogo builds in the air gap. Where OpenAI optimizes for scale, Kogo optimizes for sovereignty. The contrast couldn't be clearer. Public AI for creativity, private AI for control. With Qualcomm's silicon backbone, Kogo's agentic orchestration, and India's compliance first ecosystem, this launch could define the next decade of enterprise AI. Well, as Raj K. Gopalakrishnan, co founder and CEO of Kogo AI, said, we are entering an era where AI doesn't need to leave home to be intelligent. Control is the new compute. End quote. And of course, joining us today is that gentleman, well, Raj K. Gopalakrishnan, co founder and CEO of Kogo AI, the team that just unveiled Kogo OS in partnership with Qualcomm, the world's first private agentic operating system for the AI native enterprise. From defense to banking, well, this could redefine how India builds sovereign AI, from collaboration to creation. Welcome to the show. How are you doing, Raj?
I'm
Pleasure
doing
to
good,
have you with
Sudhi.
us.
Sudhi, thanks for having me. Always a pleasure to talk to him. Yeah, it's exciting times, man. Life's great. No complaints.
That's wonderful to hear. And of course, before we dive deep, Raj, I, of course, also, apart from this, wanted to congratulate you on a post that I actually saw on LinkedIn. So before I actually say it, it would be nice for you to probably tell us, because it is obviously another milestone.
Oh yeah, so Morgan Stanley has this India Innovation Summit every year, and this year we won the summit as the standout startup, especially because of private AI, and
Wonderful.
we are building private AI for AI native enterprise. So it's a privilege to be recognized by a doyen of the financial world. Thank you.
Brilliant, brilliant, Raj. Congratulations. I guess everything is just aligning perfectly. And the fact that you're on front page now.
Uh,
Congratulations on that as well.
Thank you, of course.
All right. So, well, let's kick things off. Kogo AI and Qualcomm first announced a private AI collaboration back in April. So, what changed between then and today that made Kogo OS production ready? And why launch it now at the India Mobile Congress?
So there are two things here. So
Hmm.
we built Kogo OS about 8 to 10 months ago. We had launched it to be on-prem for, of course, like you were mentioning, BFSI and defense and healthcare. Uh,
Hmm.
However, the challenge was that what do we do about completely air-gapped on-edge applications? And the challenge really was in being able to make the entire operating system work with models on the edge. And that's what we endeavored to do with Qualcomm, and that's what the whole partnership was. In these
Hmm.
6 months, we've set benchmarks, we've tested models with the OS, we've tested 32 billion parameter models, 70 billion parameter models. The
Hmm.
use case is very simple. You don't need the internet. You have specific custom models
Hmm.
that run and power the entire agentic framework. That framework is Kogo, and this enables any enterprise to take a box. So literally, it's AI in a box.
Hmm.
I've been saying this for a year. The future of enterprise AI is private. Today,
Hmm.
it's data regulated industries, right? BFSI, healthcare, defense, of course, is as sovereign as it gets. But
Hmm.
apart from this, the fact is that as we move into the future, even manufacturing companies, even other enterprises will start wanting to keep their data more secure, right?
Sure.
You will see IT organizations and CISOs actually moving towards a more private deployment of AI, where
Hmm.
they own the agent, own the data, own the process, own the resultant data, own the learnings, own the model. And this
Hmm.
is possible only in a private AI infrastructure. And that's what we've launched with Qualcomm today, where we're showcasing that you can actually run AI within your enterprise completely air gapped, right? So
That's
that's
wonderful. It would be nice, maybe, Raj, if you could shed a little bit of light in terms of the behind the scenes. How did the collaboration come about? What were the discussions like? This is, of course, I'm going pre April as well. It would be nice for maybe the viewers to understand that a little bit from you. Shed a little light on that, maybe?
Yeah, so like I said, we've been building the agentic operating system. We actually launched it in September last year,
Mm-hmm.
and our entire hypothesis and the way we've built it
Mm.
is for it to be completely private.
Mm.
Because one of the key things that most people do not realize is for large enterprise, what you call as RAI or responsible AI,
Mm-hmm.
where governance, there's red teaming, there is, of course, guardrails is a part of it.
Mm.
But whole scene of responsible AI, as somebody had said, is it's not an option. It's not a bolt on. It is
Sure.
the license to operate. It has to be very much part of the stack. So we've been building this for almost a year. We launched it a year ago,
Hmm.
and that's
Hmm.
when the conversations with Qualcomm and a few others started. Tech Mahindra, Nvidia, Coforge,
Hmm. Hmm.
Atrox, and with all of these people, we said that no enterprise will be able to use cloud AI, especially in data regulated
Hmm. Hmm.
industries, right?
Hmm.
This resonated very well with the Qualcomm leadership and both their technology organization and their business organization, because that's what they're also hearing from the market.
Hmm.
And then it just was one of those things where we said, great, let's work towards integrating it deeply within the Qualcomm infrastructure. So AIC 100 Ultra chips, now AIC 200 is coming, extremely low wattage, low small language models
Hmm.
that
Hmm.
do one task very well. So instead of having one model that does 100 tasks, you have 100 small models that do one task each very, very
Right.
well. And because of the way the OS is built, all of these agents actually become an unified agentic system. A unified
Sure.
agentic system where agents can pass on memory, data, context, conversation, and control from one agent to another. Sounds
Hmm.
very easy and reductive when I say it this way, but actually there's a lot of technology and really a lot of R&D that's gone behind it. And the chip manufacturers understand this, and that's where that's how this collaboration happened.
Well, thanks so much for shedding light on that. Gives everyone who's watching as well, Raj, a lot of interesting context. Which, of course, brings me to this. You have been very emphatic about the private aspect of things. So, sovereignty versus the private cloud. Everyone talks about private AI, yet most still run on someone else's cloud. What makes Kogo OS sovereign by design, technically and operationally? And how do you guarantee zero data ever leaves enterprise boundaries?
So when we talk about air-gapped systems, that is self-explanatory. It's air-gapped, data
Sure.
cannot. But let's look at the technical construct of the OS itself. The OS is an orchestration layer, like it's a full stack, right? It has the agent building, it has the tools layer, it has the MLOps layer, it has observability, responsible AI. All of this are multiple layers that are already there on the
Hmm.
platform.
Hmm.
Now, this basically, what is it? It orchestrates all the processes. The data always remains to be at
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
location of the enterprise.
Hmm.
So no data is flowing to us. It is flowing to the on-prem platform. So even if it's on a virtual private cloud, it stays within the confines and
Hmm.
the silos of where the data actually exists. And this is the unifier of those silos. So the data really doesn't flow out from the system, it's a
Hmm.
flow through, and the system itself sits inside the enterprise. So
Hmm.
whether it is on edge, air gap, or a virtual private cloud, or a hybrid infrastructure,
Hmm.
from our platform, there is no out to the data except back into the enterprise system.
Okay. Okay, fair enough. Which actually brings me to this aspect, Raj, which is the advantage. So, how does running on Qualcomm's Cloud AI 100 Ultra and Inference Suite change the economics and energy profile of enterprise AI? Are we finally seeing inference at the edge outperform the public cloud model?
By 60% at the very least over a 3-year period.
Oh,
That's the
wow.
deep benchmarking that we've done with Qualcomm. And the interesting thing is,
Hmm.
we're not paying for tokens anymore. See, there are two, three. There are. It's actually it's quite crazy. Today, any agentic platform, and I say this with these air quotes, really does multiple workflows by sending everything to an LLM, right? As
Right.
though as though tokens are free, right? And then
Hmm.
the enterprise wakes up one morning and looks at $100,000 bill for a month, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Now, it's not just about going private. if you want, so there are two things. One is ownership is the advantage.
Hmm.
If you want advantage as an AI native organization, ownership is the advantage. That's what something like a Qualcomm gives you. The second is ownership does not mean you have to pay an extra price for it. The
Hmm.
moment you own the model that runs locally within your system, it also means you own the tokens, right?
Hmm.
The
Hmm.
more it's smaller models, and this box that we're showcasing at India Mobile Congress, it's this much. Um, it's like a desktop printer, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
That's the size of it. That's it. You could have five such boxes, and you don't need liquid cooling, you don't need server rooms, you don't need all of that, right? So your total cost of management, ownership, all of these aspects are extremely low, which means that the cost of the token is really the cost of the electricity of the so that's why it's almost like a 60% difference
Hmm.
across 2 to 3 years. And then of course the graph is exponential.
Which actually brings me to this. Sridhar Vembu recently cited a 60% electricity bill spike in Athens, Georgia, due in part to, well, AI data center growth, and warned that AI's energy hunger could burden national grids. Given that Kogo OS runs on Qualcomm's inference accelerators, how does your architecture address that challenge? In your view, can on-prem agentic AI with Qualcomm truly reduce overall energy consumption, especially versus cloud-based inference, and under what conditions?
That's not, this is not an easy question to answer. At a very granular unit level, the fact that you don't need a massive data center, right?
Hmm.
And AI in a box can do one small part of your process, right?
Hmm.
Let's look at a mid-size to a large-size enterprise.
Hmm.
Say they have 100 processes. Every process has say 200 steps,
Hmm.
and every 10 steps are homogeneous in the sense that a small language model can sort it out, right?
Hmm.
By that arithmetic, you need about 80 to 90 boxes, right? Now, you already spoke about the power consumption of these boxes. I mean, it's literally just, it's like a home appliance.
Hmm.
As opposed to a large data center that would use a singular large language model that requires a huge amount of compute, right?
Hmm.
So on edge compute, there are a lot of use cases where the data is not needed on the internet. It's batch processing based.
Hmm.
It is not real time critical, right? All of that, and which is mostly middle and back office.
Hmm. Hmm.
It's about 70% of all enterprise workflows. Those actually can run on private systems, whether it's NPUs or GPUs, it doesn't matter. You'll be able to run smaller models with a decent amount of compute, and the cost parameters of that would be way lower, and the energy consumption would be way lower. I mean,
Okay.
let's say you have 20 large server machines. You need liquid cooling, you need infrastructure, dev ops. There's a lot of stuff around it, right?
Hmm.
Of course, electricity consumption that happens with all the infrastructure that comes
Hmm.
with it.
Hmm.
You could literally keep this in a room. Maybe you're doing finance operations, and it could be sitting in your finance department. I mean, you could get a
Wow.
to be reductive. You could get a almari and keep them inside there with a going in. It's just as
Yeah.
simple as that. So it will definitely bring costs down from an electricity consumption point of view. And Qualcomm's AIC hundreds are, you were talking about it earlier,
Yeah.
extremely energy efficient,
Okay.
extremely energy efficient.
So both those aspects, as you say, you've quantified it, will bring down the energy cost in a big way. India actually is now also talking about, Raj, sovereign AI compute, building its own secure, energy efficient infrastructure rather than renting it from hyperscalers. With Kogo OS running privately on Qualcomm's AI hardware, do you see this as India's first real step toward building sovereign AI compute? And how do you balance that vision with the global interoperability enterprises still we need to stay competitive?
Okay, so like I said, you said in which scenario? A lot of the sovereign stuff, like we discussed, is middle and back
Yes.
office. It has data that is privileged. It has data that is regulated.
Hmm.
Interoperability is required from a front end perspective. If you talk about a global organization, then of course you're talking about private networks and sovereign clouds, right?
Right.
But cost of compute definitely would come down because you own that entire
Hmm.
infrastructure, right? That is
Hmm.
point number one. Point number two is that from I could take an example of the Indian Army. We do a lot of work with them.
Right.
We've spoken about this earlier in your show as well, and it doesn't get more sovereign than that, and it
Yes.
doesn't get more massive than that,
Oh,
right?
yes.
It, I think we're the second largest standing army in the world, so you can
Yes.
imagine the number of people involved and the kind of processes that are there that need to make this machine run.
Yes.
And a lot of the decision support system is based on a lot of data that comes in from multiple streams.
Hmm.
Now, obviously, they cannot use hyperscaler infrastructure.
Hmm.
How do you bring the cost down in such a massive operation, right?
Yep.
Uh, Private AI is the way, edge compute is the way, right?
Hmm.
So it not only brings overall cost down, it gives you ownership, and it is in a way sovereign compute because
Hmm. Hmm.
you, you're using custom models. Having said that, this is very different from what the government is talking about, foundational sovereign foundational
Hmm.
models for the larger public, India's version of an OpenAI or a Gemini or whatever
Sure.
you may, right, with Indic models and so on.
Yes.
That
Yes.
is that's a separate discussion, and this is a separate discussion because the model, the kind of models you're talking about, the parameters you're talking about are very different, right?
Agreed.
We deal in SLMs and nano language models, which are very small, specific,
Hmm.
do one
Hmm.
task, do it very well. When we actually embarked on this, internally it was called Project Goldfish because
Hmm.
it has an extremely small memory, and it just needs to dart in, do one job, and come out, right?
Nice.
So I think a lot of the sovereign AI stuff will happen in smaller models, in chunks within enterprise and within government itself.
All right. So, I mean, you see that as probably the way forward. So, AI OS versus agentic OS. OpenAI recently launched its own AI OS at Dev Day 2025. I just mentioned that. In simple terms, how is Kogo OS different from that, especially for regulated sectors that can't afford data exposure?
Yeah. So, like I earlier told you, responsible AI is not an option or a bolt on; it's a license to operate, right?
Hmm.
The entire thing of red teaming, governance, all of these components are built into the platform. Now, when we talk about a private OS as opposed to a cloud OS,
Yeah.
today, when you need an agentic system to work, a unified agentic system to work, what all do you need? You need a builder, you need
Hmm.
models, you need
Hmm.
observability, you need TCO observability, you need tools, you need native MCP servers, you need ML ops, you need models, and then you need a runtime where all of these things run, right? If
Hmm.
you look at the cloud infrastructure and cloud based models, or now what they are calling as an OS, it's federated across the cloud. All your
Hmm.
data is flowing out into a third party, right?
Hmm.
That's not the case when you talk about Kogo OS. Kogo OS is self contained, zero external dependency, no outside libraries, 100% proprietary, comes and sits inside the organization. So
Right.
whatever is going around stays within the organization's
Hmm.
environment.
Hmm.
We are so secure that when we are deployed at various customer orgs,
Hmm.
we don't have access to our production platform. It
Wow.
is that secure. So
Hmm.
once a client deploys our platform, puts in the license manifest file, it's running inside. We have no linkage,
Hmm.
zero linkage with the platform. Of course, we have our mechanisms for update and bringing in
Sure.
where improvements are there. So
Sure.
and the proof is in the pudding. The thesis at the end of the day is revenue. We, in fact,
Yes.
recently announced on in our AGM on 30th of September that we're now a customer-funded company, so we're operationally profitable. I don't know too many AI
And
companies.
congratulations on that, Raj.
Thanks so much. I don't know too many AI companies that can actually say this within a year of launching their
We
agent.
mentioned that the fact that the run rate is more than $1 billion, and yes, it's never happened in history.
So yeah, so so things are good. Yeah, it's been a good year.
It's been really not overstated at all, Raj. Well done.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Regulation and readiness.
Thank you.
India's DPDP Act and the EU AI Act are tightening compliance. So, how does Kogo OS, Raj, align with these frameworks? And can it become the global benchmark for trustworthy, compliant AI?
100%. So, like I said, compliance and privacy is built by design in the platform. This is
Hmm.
what the platform is designed for, right? Obviously, we have all the usual certifications of
Hmm.
ISO 27001 and SOC 2 compliance and HIPAA and GDPR. As these other compliances come in, we will ensure that, of course, we are certified, but it's a breeze for a platform like ours to be certified because nothing goes out.
Hmm.
So we are private, natively private. We are private by design, and that really makes all
Yeah.
these applications very, very quick because there is no pipeline coming out. All the
Hmm.
pipelines are internal, right? So
Hmm.
I think private AI definitely is the gold standard going forward as far as enterprises and regulated data is concerned. And
Sure.
I would go out on a limb and say the extent to which we have built this platform, and we've built it from India for the world.
Nice.
Currently, we I think our closest or adjacent, I would say, companies that are doing what we're doing are maybe we have a 8 to 10 month clear lead over them, and we're continuing to actually innovate. So we have our research lab based out of Kochi with our chief scientist and a bunch of guys there. Their job is to just see how we can make it faster, better, stronger, smaller, leaner, cheaper, and keep it private all the time. So that is what our goal is. Our goal is to build the AI native autonomous organization of the future, and that's where we headed.
No, Raj, before I actually move on to the future of enterprise autonomy, I just want you to please repeat that once again. It just had a wonderful ring to it. Built in India for the globe. Did I get it right? And I would love for you to say it with that emotion that you just said it with.
No, we do get asked this question many times. How the hell did you guys manage? I mean, India is great at building applications and application layers.
Right?
So we've actually built it in India with teams based out of India for the world, and our customers and our businesses equally divided between the Western and the Eastern world. And that is testament to the fact that private AI is actually the way to go. If your data is regulated, if you need to keep everything
Hmm.
private, this is the way to go. Gogo OS gets you there, and mind you, we're a D1 platform, right?
Hmm.
When we've built it in India for the rest of the world, it's also it requires. It doesn't require too much preparation, code, etc., etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
uh, the entire platform gets deployed within a couple of hours, and
Wow.
immediately we already have multiple systems that we built with different subject matter experts like accounts payable,
Hmm.
processing, property tax validation, etc., which are already part of the system. So
Nice.
enterprises can either use, so we have something called an agent store, which means that
Yep.
every enterprise has a private agentic store, right?
Hmm.
Which
Hmm.
is part of, when we say full stack, that is part of, that's the runtime layer. So we
Right.
have existing agentic systems which they just need to connect to their enterprise systems across the board, maybe on SAP and
Sure.
Workday and so on, and just begin. They can just start using it, or they can build custom agentic systems. Something which would normally take 6 months,
Yes.
we built stuff which takes maybe 8 hours, 2 days.
Nice.
Literally, that's the kind of timeline we're talking about. So yeah,
Nice.
yeah, built in India for the world.
Thank you so much for saying that again, because yeah, every time you say it, brings a lovely little smile on my face, and I'm sure it does as well on yours. Talking
Absolutely.
about the future now, where does Kogo go from here? Do you see every large Indian enterprise running its own sovereign AI stack in the next few years, Raj? And what will that mean for global cloud giants?
So they are not mutually exclusive. It
Hmm.
depends on the kind of enterprise, not just an Indian enterprise, but an enterprise anywhere. It depends on the kind of process, regulation, compliance, and data that you have, right? Obviously, the hyperscalers and the OpenAI will work for a certain kind of industry and on the consumer level at large, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
We are not consumer AI. We are hardcore enterprise AI. So it really depends on the enterprise. Where you talk about financial services, PII being there,
Yeah.
health services, insurance, defense, some
Yeah.
elements of very high confidential manufacturing, right?
Yes.
Where IP is there.
Hmm.
Anywhere where IP information PII process has to be protected or is regulated or has to be compliant will have no choice but to
Sure.
go private if they want to be an AI native organization. And make no mistake, the competitor of the future for every enterprise is another enterprise that is AI native.
Right.
If you don't go AI native, you will lose out.
Right.
So the future is private for enterprise in such cases. And like I said, they're not mutually exclusive, right?
Yeah.
Uh, there are also enough overlaps where there will be a hybrid sort of setup.
Version to it. Yeah.
Yeah, so we've already seen that in some deployments where a certain part of the enterprise is private and the other part
Yes.
is on public cloud because it doesn't matter, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
So, but the governing point, Sudhi, is going to be TCO,
Right.
total cost of ownership for enterprise, whether it's hybrid or private, completely
Hmm.
private or hybrid, and
Hmm.
of course, depending on the use case, the cost has to be extremely low.
Yes.
Benchmark is to get a minimum of 30 to 40% upside on cost. That's where we
Correct.
are starting, right?
Hmm.
So as we go forward, models become better, compute power becomes more, everything gets quantized, smaller. You will see more private AI adoption. And like you were talking about legislation, that's also going to push
Yes.
a lot of enterprises into that bucket where
Hmm.
they
Hmm.
have to be private.
So the upsides are quite a bit. There's a huge saving as far as energy costs and all of those factors are concerned. And more importantly, and finally, Raj, like you have constantly talked about it, that is the future in terms of your data is absolutely secure and it's yours and it's private AI, which is the way forward. Finally, Raj, I would like for you on this very momentous day, uh, once again, congratulate you and also request you for a message that you'd probably like to give to everyone. Aspect of the fact that, yes, Made in India is a wonderful reality and it is the way forward. And you, of course, have mentioned it. I will mention it again on your behalf. Made in India for the world. That is what Kogo OS is. And of course, now I hand it over to you for your message.
So before my closing comments, Sudhi, I just want to say one thing.
Sure.
It's not just about data privacy, right?
Hmm.
It's about the intelligence of the organization. Any process and data and tasks that run within an organization are the inherent intelligence of the organization.
Sure.
The premise of cloud AI is that you hand over your intelligence to a third party
Hmm.
so that they can learn. How does the enterprise learn? How
Hmm.
does the enterprise become more intelligent, more efficient? Private AI's probably biggest benefit that is not a stated benefit is that it compounds the intelligence of the organization exponentially, because now all the learnings stay within
Yeah.
the organization and it keeps getting better and smarter and wiser and so on, right? So that's something that I wanted to say.
No,
uh,
that's a very poignant point for sure, Raj.
yeah, so I think while the world is building foundational models with a certain amount of compute and all of that, uh, bigger, better, larger is not necessarily the answer. I think India has shown tremendous amount of ability in being able to solve very large problems
Hmm.
at a fraction of the cost, right?
Hmm.
Uh, you don't need to over engineer, right? I
Yeah.
mean, we sent a shuttle to the moon at what, 50 cost, right? Uh,
Correct.
and that really holds good for the entire AI orchestration and process layer.
Hmm.
You don't necessarily need to burn a hole in your pocket. I
No.
think you will find that India will continue to build bigger, better systems that are leaner, cheaper, and really give that cost benefit. So I think the application of Gen AI is something that India is going to lead the world. Not on the foundational front. I still am very, very clear that that's
Fair.
a different skill set that the Western world has done. But what is
Hmm.
the answer to it?
Yeah.
You don't have to walk in the same path that they
Hmm.
have, and
Hmm.
that's why we keep talking about small language models, smaller models, quantized, doing one task. You don't need one behemoth to do everything, you
Right.
know. And that swarm, we call it a swarm of intelligence. That swarm of intelligence is what will get low cost, and I think India is going to lead the way over there. And we have great guys like, I mean, Sridhar has shown how
Oh, yes.
a multi-billion dollar corporation can be built literally without having all the trappings that the world expects you to have from
Yes.
technology company point of view. So I
Yes.
India will lead the way in efficient private AI, and we are very much on the forefront of that with Gogo OS.
It's just so encouraging and wonderful as always, Raj, speaking with you. And yes, I just wish that and we all do at AIM Network, that the growth is only brilliant moving forward, onwards and upwards to you, Raj, and your team. And thank you again for being on the show and sharing such wonderful insights as far as this story goes. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Subbu.
Well, India's AI story just went sovereign, as we have just discussed at length. The Kogo OS launch marks the arrival of an entirely new category, private agentic infrastructure, a system where every model, every agent, every inference stays within enterprise walls. From Bengaluru to the world, this is the next leap. AI that serves securely, locally, and responsibly. Please do let us know what you think in the comments below.